Hey there, welcome back to the next episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to share with you some things that you should start doing and that some things that you should stop doing if you want to change your body composition, if you want to lose some body fat, and if you want to gain some muscle so you can look better and feel better, have better energy, and you can be healthier. And these are the things that actually, honestly, I personally did and stopped doing when I started my fat loss early 2020. It was way different from how I had done in the past. In the past, I had just been on those really restrictive ways of eating. I was just cutting my calories and doing a lot of cardio. But this time, in the beginning of 2020, I did it completely differently from what I had done before, and it has been very helpful. I'm going to also share with you at the end of the podcast what were the results of starting to do these things and also stopping doing certain things. So some of the things I'm going to share with you today have a little bit more to do with our mindset and reframing some of the things and looking at our habits, and then some more, of course, more practical. So let's get started. So some things that I recommend that you start doing is start tracking your food, because without that, you don't really have awareness. You don't know what you're doing, how much you are eating right now. And what you may find is that you are maybe eating way more than what you need. You may also find the opposite. You may find that you're eating way less than what you would actually need. And what I found when I started early last year was I was eating more, because I was coming from this background of, I had this burnout and I had to eat more, and I was still kind of doing it. But there was no need for me to do that anymore. I didn't have to put on any more body weight to heal my hormones. I was completely fine. So why was I eating so much? And so my eyes didn't open until I started tracking it, and I realized, oh, okay, I'm going back for snacks a couple of times already, and I am driving back from work and I just ate like half a bag of tortilla chips on my way home, or I'm just going back and eat more of those whatever I made for dinner. And so it didn't become clear until I started tracking my food intake, and this really opened my eyes, because I personally saw that my calories were way higher than what I was burning, and that's why I was gaining weight. And you may find the opposite. You may find that you're barely eating 1,000 calories, and this is why you're stuck. So starting to track your food is really the first step. It brings you so much awareness, and it can help you to understand which way you should be going. The next thing that I started doing was eating a lot more protein. And of course, you are very familiar with that already if you have been a listener for some time, because I talk about it a lot. And I didn't pay much attention to protein at all. I had heard people talk about it, but I had never really taken it seriously. I was like, whatever, it's all about calories, but it's not only about calories. Protein matters so much. And the results that I saw from just increasing my protein were really great. It became so much easier to lift heavier weights, which is great for the body, because that's how you get stronger. This is how you speed up your metabolism. This is how you keep your hormones healthy. And of course, this is how you also burn body fat more. So eating a lot more protein was one of the keys, maybe even the most important, well, the second one after tracking. So starting tracking and then starting eating more protein. The next thing was simply asking myself, do I want to eat this thing? And coming back to my past with, I had to eat more to get better, because there was a period of time in my life when I was under eating. And so now I was still in this habit of just eating randomly because the food was there. And I wasn't really asking myself, do I even want that? Or am I eating just because it's there? There's just no checking in with myself. Like, what the heck am I doing here? And when I started asking myself this question, a lot of times I felt like I don't want that. I'm just eating because it's there. Now it's a habit. This is what I do. I feel like I should have a snack before I go to sleep, even though I'm not hungry. All of these things had just become habits. And also, well, I can have ice cream. Why not have ice cream? And I had plenty of days when I had ice cream for lunch, and things that I don't do anymore, because now I have a lot more awareness. I also have a better understanding of how these things impact my health, and I don't do them anymore. And I'm not saying that you should never have ice cream for lunch. Sometimes it happens and it's fine, but it shouldn't be like 2 or 3 times a week type of thing. And so paying attention to what you're doing, just asking yourself, do I want that thing, or am I just eating it because I'm in a movie theater and I eat popcorn just because that's what we do? Ask yourself this question, and you find that you probably don't want to eat these things all the time. The next thing that I did to change my body composition, and I want you to do the same, is to start lifting heavy weights. And this is another thing that I talk about a lot. I call them the big girl weights. So put down those light, small pink dumbbells or orange dumbbells and start lifting heavier weights. It's still very scary for a lot of women, but it's absolutely necessary because this is the way you build metabolism. This is the way you burn body fat. This is the way you build your muscle. This is how you bulletproof your hormones. It's so important. Like, getting strong is very important. And also, if you've had bone density issues, I know some of you may have had that, then strength training is really one of the ways you can improve your bone density, because your muscle attaches to your bone. So when you strengthen your muscle, you also strengthen your bone. And of course, make sure that you're healthy, that you have energy for it. But if you do, then stop doing all this cardio and start lifting weights. So these are things that I started personally doing, and that allowed me to change my body composition. And then, of course, tracking all 3 macros. This also came after I had gotten my protein to a really right place, then starting tracking all 3 macros based on what my friend and macro coach had calculated for me, and changes started to happen. All right, next things, what I stopped doing, and I recommend that you stop doing as well, is snacking and just random stuff throughout the day without paying any attention to what you're doing and if you actually need that. So I kind of covered it earlier too, but it's still very important. It's important to mention it again. I wouldn't say I stopped snacking. I'm still snacking, right? I'm still snacking, but now I have a way better understanding of how much you actually need. So before, when I didn't have any guidelines, any understanding about like macros, or I didn't like log anything, I would just snack. I would snack like, 2 protein bars a day and some chocolate and some ice cream. Literally what I would do. And now looking back, it's not hard to see where this unwanted weight gain came from, because I was snacking all the time, and we are like a snacking culture. We're snacking all the time. But then start paying attention to that and start asking yourself, to actually want it. The next thing to stop doing was going back for seconds, even when I wasn't hungry anymore. And it's kind of similar, but it's also like another habit, right? So the food is there, why not? It tastes good, I can, why shouldn't I? And I did it a lot without ever checking in with myself. Do I actually want it? The next thing I stopped doing, and what you should stop doing too, is eating carb only snacks and meals. So this was a big one. When I didn't pay attention to my macros at all, I would often eat very like toast with banana and some honey on it, right? So there's carbs and carbs. And there's nothing wrong with carbs, okay? I want you to understand that. There's nothing wrong with carbs, but if it's only high carb snack like that, there's nothing else to balance out the carbs, then it's not going to be the healthiest thing for you, because the blood sugar spike will be pretty big. And we talked about that in a previous episode or 2 episodes back with Tina Hubbard, and we discussed how important blood sugar, balancing our blood sugar really is for our hormonal health and overall health. So when you eat carb-only meals, then your blood sugar is going to spike. And yes, it's normal for your blood sugar to spike when you're eating, but you want to not let that spike to be super, super high. So you want to have some fats with it. You want to have some protein with it to balance out your meals and not eat only high carb meals. And a couple of other things to stop doing. Being ashamed for wanting to lose fat. This was a big one for me to overcome. Maybe you're struggling with it too, maybe not, I don't know, but I know some of the people in my community do struggle with it. And I've talked about it in a couple of episodes too. In one of the episodes, I talked about how somebody told me that she feels like when she wants to lose body fat, there's something so wrong about it that if something goes wrong with her menstrual cycle or health, this is a sign that she's being punished now for wanting to lose body fat. And I don't like that idea at all. So we have to let go of that. We have to accept what we want to accomplish. If you want to accomplish body fat loss, then that's what you want to do, and own it, and then go do it. But do it in a healthy way, and stop being ashamed of it, and stop believing these stories that there's something ethically wrong about wanting to lose body fat. It doesn't make you an obsessive person. It doesn't make you a person who doesn't have self-worth or who doesn't value herself. No, these things are not true. None of this is true. And you can lose body fat and you can still have a really great relationship with yourself and with food. You can just do it just to feel better in your skin. And there's nothing bad about that. And the last thing I stopped doing, and I recommend you stop doing too, is trying to lose body fat intuitively. Okay, so for the longest time, I thought, oh, intuitive eating is the way to go. This is the only way to lose fat in in the right way, because there's a lot of people who tell you that, oh, tracking is bad or wrong, you should never do this. The only way to do it is intuitively. And I don't like that idea, because honestly, like lately, I've been getting a lot of messages from people who say that in 2020, they gained a lot of weight, because what happened in 2020 was that a lot of people were stuck at home. They didn't go to work. They didn't take the stairs anymore to go to work. They didn't walk, from one office to another. They didn't do their own grocery shopping. They ordered everything home. There's so much less movement, and also sitting on the couch and ordering food and eating, takeout a lot and eating comfort food. So this is what their intuition tells them to do. If you are happy with your intuitive eating, if you don't have any big goals right now, you're happy with where you are, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing. I think it works great for you. And I always say too, I don't think everybody should be tracking their food and weighing their food all the time. But I do think that if you have a goal, then you have to have a map, right? How do you get to your goal? What's your map? What does it look like? Because trying to just get there somehow by eating intuitively, it didn't work. For me, it didn't work. I tried, but it didn't work. So if that's you too, maybe it's time to try to track and log a little bit and see what you're actually doing, and then start adjusting, increasing your protein. Maybe you need to decrease your calories. So you have to have a better plan other than just eating intuitively. And I'm going to finish with what happened as a result of stopping certain things and then starting certain things, and the results that you can see as well. So I finally realized that I had kept gaining weight, because even though I was eating mostly healthy, because I was still overeating, right? I was eating way more calories than what I was burning. And this is where the weight gain came from. Easy as that. Second result was that I dropped body fat and I gained muscle mass. And 2020 for me, I just mentioned that a lot of people gain a lot of weight and gain a lot of body fat. I was the opposite, because I started macros and I started lifting heavier weights. And I saw a big change. Because I was consistent. I wasn't always 100% perfect. I'm never perfect. I had plenty of days when I wasn't hitting my numbers perfectly. I had some days when I had to skip a workout, but with workouts, I was mostly really consistent, working out 3-4 days a week, taking my walks, always hitting 10,000 steps, keeping my protein high. So consistency last year helped me to lose body fat and put on a lot more muscle. I actually wish that I had done the measurements and I could tell how much muscle and how much body fat I lost, but I didn't do it, and I wish I had done it. The next thing that was a great result is that my morning fasting glucose went from 100 plus to between 75 to 85. So before I started macros and before I started lifting heavier weights, it had been there. Yeah, it was about 100 and plus. And I've shared this in my one of the earlier episodes where I talk about period pains. When I started tracking my morning glucose, I found that, oh my God, it's 110. The very first time I tracked it was 110, and it was frequently over 100. But then I started getting my nutrition right. I started eating high protein, started paying attention to other macros. I started building muscle, which makes you more insulin sensitive, right? Makes you more insulin sensitive. And then as a result, my morning blood glucose numbers started going down. And now they're consistently between 75 to 85. And this is health stuff, right? This is important for your health. It's not only about your looks, It's sometimes people say that, macros and all that, it's obsessive and it's about the looks, but it's also so much about your health. So much about your health, because you want to be insulin sensitive and you want to have a normal fasting blood glucose and you want to have normal blood sugar levels and insulin levels. So these things are very important to you. You really just cannot argue with that. I'm also so much stronger, definitely able to lift so much heavier weights, and definitely way more in tune with my body, what it wants, how certain macros and certain foods impact my body, how I feel. I can definitely tell that there's a big difference when I eat, one breakfast and then I eat a different breakfast. There's a big difference in how I feel throughout the day. So it has definitely helped me to get in so much better in touch with myself. because I have now paid attention, I have tracked my food, and I know what things work for me and what don't really work that way. So this is all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. If you have a body composition change goal, then start taking these steps and think, what are the things that you maybe have to start doing, maybe some of the things that you have to let go of, and what you can achieve as a result of doing these things. So I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you again soon.